Carcino here, and let's get into it. Isaiah Thomas won't be returning back to the Los Angeles Lakers. His numbers did not look impressively great, but the first 2 games he was looking amazing, but then he only played 4 games, people, really? He scored 19 in his debut, and from there, it went down. The Phoenix game and the Spurs game, it was really evident as to what was going on. Now, when you think of the Los Angeles Lakers and what they were doing, defensively, Isaiah Thomas was a liability. And with Russ actually playing, getting a 2-day cure from COVID, having them on the team at the same time actually was not beneficial to the team, as he was here to replace Russ only. So I can't sit up here and say, oh, I disagree with the decision. I understood the decision. I don't know who that guy is, but I don't think that Puerto Rican dude or Cuban dude or whoever he is played for the Los Angeles Lakers. But anyway, that's why he's not there. It made sense. I know people want to lash out at LeBron for making this decision, but Isaiah Thomas there's no communication on the Los Angeles Lakers whatsoever. So therefore, when there's no communication on the team, and you got someone who's very short, like 5 foot something guard and a point guard, he's already at a defensive liability position because these younger guys can get by him, they can pull up, they can shoot, so they can do their thing. Now, they got an old point guard who really plays the point. Isaiah is more of a scoring guard. He's a 5'2" scoring guard. And they thought Russ was going to be out for 10 days. They ended up getting Russ back in 1 day. So there was no need to have Isaiah Thomas bring him out there on the court. Told you what was up with your Knicks at the beginning of the season. Now, here's what people are doing. Blaming Isaiah Thomas for the Lakers' defensive woes when they were awful before Isaiah Thomas showed up. People got to stop doing that. Because Isaiah Thomas just got there. He only played 4 games. But they knew after the San Antonio game, they weren't bringing him back. He was taking too many shots. Wasn't really scoring anymore like he did the first two games. And I tried to tell you guys, G League talent and NBA talent is completely different. So you can go off and score your 40s and 50s in G League. And the pros is a little bit more difficult. Now, don't forget to hit the like button. The super chat works. My cash app is Carcino. We ain't going nowhere. Just letting you guys know. Because we finna get to the gist of it. Isaiah Thomas was told that they weren't going to renew his 10-day contract after the San Antonio, after that game. Against the Spurs. So, right after that, the Lakers made a decision to bring in two more players. They told Isaiah it was because Westbrook was still, he ended up coming back and was playing. So there was no need to have him there. Then, only to bring in two new players, Collison and Stanley Johnson. Bigger guys. Collison for being a bigger point guard who could play defense. Stanley Johnson mainly for his defense. Don't forget to hit the like button, people. The like button is free. Now, here's where it gets interesting. On Christmas Day, Isaiah, who knows he's been lied to, barely even touched the court because they didn't want him to get hurt. They didn't want him to pull a muscle or anything can go wrong. So you barely saw Isaiah do anything that day because the writing was already on the wall. Isaiah took the blunt of the blame for the Phoenix loss. And they turned around and blamed him, a guy who only been there less than 10 days. He's the reason they lost the Phoenix game. He's the reason they lost the San Antonio game. But what about the other game? Y'all been losing all year. All season y'all been losing. So whose fault is it now? How y'all blaming Isaiah for this? He scored all these points in Minnesota. He was the man. It was, IT is bad. And I feel sorry for him because when he was in Boston, they had good chemistry. And who knows how good Isaiah's going to be when they get the good chemistry back. Now, there are some teams that are interested in bringing him on board, including the Chicago Bulls. Shams broke the news to people and told them that the Lakers and Isaiah Thomas won't do a second 10-day contract, making him a free agent. Multiple teams are expected to express interest in Thomas, who averaged 9 points in 4 games for the Lakers. Now, Stanley Johnson did not put up 19 points in a game, neither did Collison. But they're there for mostly defensive purposes. And with Isaiah being a defensive liability, well, he had to learn. He just got there, so he's familiar with what they run for LeBron. But they know it's best for him to play with LeBron not on the court. Bringing Isaiah Thomas in when LeBron is out of the game is the best look for them. This is the smallest I've ever seen. This is the smallest team, I think. I think this is the smallest Laker team I've ever seen in my life. Isaiah been trying to fit in and find a home ever since he's been basically in the league, since the Boston incident. Here's the problem. Isaiah Thomas was trying to play himself back into shape after having, he ended up having to have the hip surgery anyway. He tried to let his hip heal naturally, but he really needed the surgery. He didn't want to have surgery. He had the surgery. He came back. He signed a 1-year deal for $2 million. This is a guy that was supposed to have a $80 million to $90 million contract. Well, he played what, 12 games in Denver back in 2018 and 19. And he couldn't find a footing. So he went and joined the Wizards, right? A 1-year deal for $2.3 million. Isaiah Thomas goes over there. And when he went over there, he was ready to prove that he was ready. He was in shape. He was ready to go. And nothing could stop him this time. He's geared up, ready to make things happen. 40 games into the season, he was averaging 12 points and about 4 assists. He was shooting 40% from the field, and they traded him to the Clippers. The Clippers waived him, right? He became a free agent right after he was waived. He played well with Team USA. Then he had a surgery in February of this year. Then he signed a 10-day contract with the Pelicans in New Orleans. I think 3 games, the team cut him. And he was averaging 8 points and 2 assists, shooting 33%. Then he said, all I need is a chance. I'm ready. He put 81 up in Pro-Am in August. Then on my birthday, he signed with the G League team, the Grand Rapids Gold. He was in the best condition I've seen him in. He scored 42 points in 1 game. LeBron saw it on ESPN, and he got the call and joined the Lakers for a 10-day deal. That was December 17th, right? He scored 19 points in the debut against Minnesota, and they got beat by like a dub. But IT scored 19. Then the Phoenix game. And after the Phoenix game, that was it. So he ended up, after 4 games, shooting about 22% for three, 30% from the field, 9 points a game. And they try to make him the scapegoat. But they told him after the San Antonio game that he won't be coming back. So right away, other teams who got players out, Isaiah feel he'll be ready to go. Well, Melo thought Isaiah should have more playing time. Carmelo Anthony was a huge fan of Isaiah. Well, he wants to play. It's hard when you're sitting on the couch knowing that you're better than half of the guys that's in the league. Isaiah was never chosen. See, that's what people don't really get. He was never chosen for the position he's in. Like the NBA never said, wow, man, we need a 5'8" point guard. Everybody's big now. But I felt bad for him because of the stress on his family. Isaiah had to go through a lot. The stress on his family took a huge toll because he got to up and move from city to city, state to state. They got kids, they got to go to schools, and just right when he think this is the town they're going to be in, and he goes and buy a home. Now he's a guy that's working in the gym 6:30 in the morning, trying to get his life back together to find a team to play for. And no one ever thinks about the families. How he had to keep uprooting his family, which wasn't fair to him, put a lot of stress on his marriage. These are things that people don't think about when you think about NBA ball players and when they got to go to different cities and teams. I mean, it's the best shape I've seen him in 2 years. Isaiah. He's working out every day. Every day. When he was in Washington, he wasn't in that type of shape. He was not back to where he should be. But it's hard to catch a rhythm to a team you just got there. So I don't blame Isaiah, but I understood the Lakers' decision, and I understand that Isaiah could probably help another team. He could provide scoring coming off the bench. And if he's the focal point of the scoring, you might have a better opportunity, a better shot to get some things done. Yeah, he's more lean. He's more fit. He's in shape now. So it's a different Isaiah you're going to see than the one that you saw when he was in Washington. And he played well when he was in Washington. But it's hard when it's COVID to go around and get in shape when things were shut down for a while. Now things have been kind of open in certain places. Places are open, but it's so restricted. You got to find places where you can go and actually work out and do the things you need to do to stay where you are. Well, yeah, if you're in California and you got millions and millions of dollars, but you looking at a man that lost 60, 70 million dollars. I mean, this was where the negotiation was for Isaiah. His decision not to get the surgery cost him 60 to 70 million dollars. He was in talks to getting $100 million contract to having no contract at all. Playing for $2 million a season. Just because he got bills to pay. He got a family to feed. He ended up having to have the surgery anyway. So that ruined him. Because Boston had a great fit with him. But now Tatum and Brown, who I believe are gonna have to, they're gonna have to probably split up. Sad as it is. Well, that's what happens when you don't follow the rules. What he was doing was what he thought was best for him. He felt, I don't want to do that. I'm going to let myself heal naturally. Teams is like, look, we don't have that kind of time to sit around and wait on your, you know, heal back. You can heal quicker. It'll take months. Nope, he chose the months. One or the other got to go. They don't pass. So when you don't pass to each other, you got two guys on the court that won't refuse to pass to one another. Eventually, something's got to happen. One is going to have to go. You're going to have to decide which one it is, but one has got to go. I'm hearing the Chicago Bulls are interested in grabbing him for a 10-day contract. They just lost Lonzo Ball, I think. Oh, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. See, when you move like these guys move, that is the essence of screwing up. That is the essence of we don't care. This is how we do things. Isaiah Thomas, whatever. They don't care. And because they don't care, they can continuously get away with how they treat people, how they use people, and nobody's there to stop them. Isaiah made a mistake. He should have had the surgery. Boston would have signed him. He'd have been playing for the Boston Celtics still to this day. They would have never got Kyrie Irving. That trade would have never went down. The Knicks' problem was mainly Kemba Walker. And Julius Randle is not what people thought he was. He had a good start and he was really hot, but when you had to depend on him down the stretch, he couldn't perform. Straight up. He couldn't perform. Yeah, that's what the 76ers need. A small point guard, a small two guard, really. Not what they need. He fits better in the Chicago Bulls system than any system on the planet. gonna have to call him back, see what's up. Well, you gotta understand when you have players on a team who don't buy in, or you have people who feel that, hey, we know you here to do this, but this is what we need you to do. What's up, Jay? I see you. Nobody was truly buying in to what they were doing. Thanks for the super chat, man. I appreciate it. Lonzo Ball is out for COVID. That's what I'm saying. Somebody else could pick up Isaiah for another 10-day contract. He'll have a better chance next season to join a team and be on a team and be there, and be part of the system where he can go through a training camp. He could be there for the full ride. His job was only for 10 days. He's just to fill a spot. But Westbrook didn't go anywhere. Westbrook was supposed to be out for 10 days. That's why Isaiah was supposed to come in. Now you got another guy in his way. So they were never supposed to play together. And then you have a bad game, and then now you're the problem. Isaiah is the reason we lost that game. I'm like, really? Is that what you thought? Would Lonzo still be a Laker? No, they would have traded him. Because the thing is, Lonzo needed to go to a real team. And when he went to New Orleans, they had real trainers that worked with him. Here, in Los Angeles, the trainers are just telling him, oh, man, let him be. He'll work it out. Kid will be all right. In New Orleans, he really got the work he needed. Now, you can see his shot is a lot better. It's going in. It's looking more professional. No more the way bringing the shot over, shooting the ball. I mean, it was all for media propaganda. Like the Lakers knew that they had LeBron coming the next year. So they wasted their draft pick and took Lonzo Ball. And Kobe Bryant was livid. Like, why? Like, do you know these draft picks come around once every 10 years? Kobe's right. Those type of drafts come around one every 10 years. Where you have that much talent in one draft. And then you get the number one pick. You don't waste that. Like, you get the number one, number two pick in the draft. You don't waste those. And that's what Kobe was like. You kind of wasted that. Like, Jason Tatum was there for the taking, and you didn't get him. And that's what Kobe didn't understand. Kobe knew for sure that the Lakers was going to take Jason Tatum. Yeah, it's Monday. You got to get your errands on. So they knew they was going to take Jason Tatum. But what the world didn't know is that Jason Tatum wasn't even supposed to go to Boston. Well, people know now. They was going to take Jackson. They had the meeting set up to let him know that they was going to draft him. He was late, because he missed the plane. Overslept. And when Jackson overslept and missed the plane, Boston said, Danny Ainge said, basically, he missed the plane? What? Oh, we're not drafting him. Yep. We're not drafting him. We're going with Jason Tatum. Because he's like, they were 50-50 on it, but chose Jackson because they felt he was more game ready immediately, where Tatum they felt was going to take some work. After that, Tatum was drafted. And it was that meeting that did it. And Jackson knew. He's like, my agent told me too. He's like, this Boston, you might have screwed yourself. You might have just screwed that up. And he did. But it was all about popularity. Lonzo Ball was talked about more that season, and Lonzo wasn't really the best player on UCLA, but he was talked about the most during the entire draft. He had the most Facebook followers. He had all these things laid out for him because he was Lonzo Ball. Well, Ben would like to play for the Knicks or the Lakers. He would love to go to the West Coast and play, or he want to play where he can still live in Philly. But I don't think he wants to live there now because of the conditions of how people feel about it. But he loved it out there near Delaware. He never wanted to move. Well, that's how people feel, man. It's kind of hard to make decisions for people when they've already expressed how they truly feel. So, anyhow, I'm going to get out of here because I got to make my runs and my rounds. I'm going to have a Jay-Z video up here that's going to pretty much be shocking. And the Patreon version will probably blow the Jay-Z lawyer be contacting me after that one. So that's why I got to make sure I don't go too far on a YouTube video. But we'll talk later.